Welcome back, everyone. And by everyone, I mean all 12 of you currently subscribed from our first month here on YouTube. Unless you're watching this off in the future when the channel is actually taken off, in which case, welcome back all 13 of you. So the last couple weeks, we went over a few different ways to fight inflation and make real passive income from your checking and your savings accounts. Now there are a few rules to follow, but in those two videos, we were able to get up to a $50,000 limit, which should cover everyday spending as well as the emergency fund for most families. And that was with making 3.3% and 5% in your checking and your savings. I'll put those two videos in the description below, because if you just like one of the 4 options that we're gonna talk about today, you're gonna wanna go back and look at the other videos. But today, we're gonna try to make things a little simpler. Simpler on the rules, simpler on the effort, and for the most part, higher on the return. So the first one we're going to talk about today is based out of Massachusetts, and most of its locations are just west of Boston, but that's really irrelevant nowadays because everyone just banks online anyway. And it's called Digital Credit Union, or DCU. While they are a credit union, they actually don't have the same restrictions you would normally see. And you're able to sign up by just donating $10 to the organization Reach Out for Schools during sign up, as well as pushing the like and subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. Hey, that's their rules, not mine, so you know. So what we care about here is their primary savings account, which offers a crazy 6.17% savings rate. And unlike some other accounts we've talked about, there are no direct deposit or debit transactions required. Our only restriction here is that it's only for the first $1,000 that you get that 6.17 rate. But for something that you can sign up for in 10 minutes and then sit it and forget it, FDIC insured guaranteed dividend, that's not too bad. And like I've harped on all my other videos, if you're married, that 6.17% is now on $2,000. Also, it takes about 2 minutes to set up indefinite automatic transfers every single month. That way the dividends you're receiving in DCU can just move to your regular checking account, and that dividend train will just keep on rolling forever with no future effort. There's also a little bonus here to make that limit just a little bit higher, sort of. What we're looking at here are UTMA accounts. UTMA stands for Uniform Transfers to Minor Act, and really that's just a big way of saying a savings account for a minor, so someone under the age of 18 that's got a legal custodian on the account because they're still a minor. So typically it's just a parent. All UTMA accounts follow the exact same rules on the primary savings, and they have that same 6.17% for the first $1,000. So if you have kids, technically you could gift them $1,000. They could have their own savings account, which would earn dividends as well. And in their particular case, it would actually be tax-free.
Which you broken?
Unless, of course, your 15-year-old made 100K off of meme stocks that he read about on Reddit, in which case he'd probably have to pay taxes on this. Seriously, I had a buddy whose 14-year-old put all of his investment money into Casper Sleep the first week of November. Then, the next week, there was an announcement of a buyout and the stock basically doubled. We called him up that morning to say, hey, where'd you hear about this? Where'd you get this tip? His response, oh, I just figured people like to buy pillows. I'm not suggesting opening these accounts that way you can use your kids to bypass taxes and get further earnings. I'm also not saying that. But with that return rate, its best use is probably going to be teaching your kids about compound interest, earning dividends, and the really difficult lesson, delayed gratification.
Good luck.
The only thing is that there's actually no risk here, so make sure they don't learn the lesson too well and go all out on penny stocks later in life. Because you know, stocks never go down, especially Casper Sleep apparently. Now the next one I want to talk about is going to be real quick, and it's Service Credit Union. We don't want to waste too much time on this one, but they do offer 5% on the first $500 that you put in an account, which would be $1,000 if you're using 2-player mode. And it's going to vary from person to person on if you think this one's worth your time. However, I have an account because they do various sign-up bonuses, and at the time they were doing a $100 promo, so it could be something just worth monitoring, and then when they do the right promo, then you can maybe take advantage. Then once I'd already taken that 10 minutes to get the $100, it really wasn't worth any additional effort to cancel something that's giving me 5%. And like I said earlier, just set up an auto transfer for the dividend and you don't have to think about it ever again. So if you think this one's worth your time, they have the right promotion going, and you've already taken advantage of DCU and some of the other accounts, then you can look into it. So the next one I want to mention is HEB Debit. HEB Debit is offering 6% in a savings account, and it works almost the exact same as the Netspend accounts I talked about 2 videos back. The only real difference, instead of a $1,000 limit and a 5% return, it's actually a $2,000 limit, so doubled, and 6%. I went back and forth if I should include this in my Netspend video because the rules are almost the exact same. However, I didn't want to make it too confusing because I mentioned the HEB prepaid card in that video. This is a separate account. HEB Prepaid is another branded Netspend account. HEB Debit is a Netspend-based account, but it exists outside of their limit of 5, and it also obviously has a doubled limit and a higher return. So if you haven't seen my video on Netspend, I'll put it in the description below. Just know that you can follow the exact same rules that I lay out in that video for HEB Debit. And once again, remember, if you're married, you're looking at a $4,000 limit, not $2,000 for that 6%. Now, the final one I'd like to talk about is just a little bit different. This isn't a location you're gonna wanna put your emergency funds in, but it's a great hedge against inflation. And that is a Series I savings bond. Now, these have a little higher limit of $10,000 per person per year. So if you're married, you're looking at $20,000 a year. And the point of a Series I savings bond is just to hedge yourself against inflation, which, as everyone knows, is pretty high right now. They calculate this rate by taking a fixed rate, which in the late 90s and 2000s used to actually be something, but since 2010, it's pretty much just been 0. This number will never change for the life of you having the bond. Then they combine that fixed rate with a determined inflation rate, which at the time of recording this video is 7.12%. This number is variable and is readjusted every 6 months. So currently, if you chose to purchase a Series I savings bond, you'd have the fixed rate of 0 combined with the inflation rate of 7.12, which obviously is just 7.12. Essentially, the determined inflation rate is just going to be your return on this bond. And the reason why I say this isn't as good for an emergency fund is because once you buy this bond, that cash is locked in for a minimum of 12 months. And we always want to be able to access any dollar we have earmarked for emergencies. But if you're just looking for a guaranteed return, this isn't too bad. Now, after 1 year, you're going to be able to cash in your bond. But if you do that, you're going to lose the last 3 months of interest. But if you do choose to hold the bond for at least 5 years, then that 3-month penalty will go away completely when you cash it in. But wow, I hope they figured out inflation by that point. So that's our video for today. If you learned one new thing, please shoot us a like and hit that little subscribe button and the bell so you're notified of any of our future content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.